And we're live. Ayan, we have not gone live for quite some time here at Eight Letters Books and Publishing. So, hello everyone. Welcome Jogen Paolo Atienza. Hello. Can you hear me well?
Yes, Cindy, hello. It's been a while. How are you?
Ayan, it's very good. Thank you. It's been a while indeed because I just want to reintroduce you to our audience right now, to our community. Nasi Jogen, this is your second time here at Eight Letters, and this time around we are launching your second book, which is the Digital Rudder. So maybe a little bit of intro about you. So Jogen, he's a learning and organizational development professional, licensed professional teacher, and author of the e-learning Rudder. So he holds a master in digital transformation management and a postgraduate diploma in organizational development. So we're going a little bit technical. We're stepping out a bit because for quite some time, actually, we have been releasing a lot of, fiction and nonfiction book. But this time around, more educational naman tayo. And I think this book is very timely for a lot of businesses out there, and also to not just businesses but also yung to our educational system, to our to if you own a business, if you're trying to get into AI, this book is definitely for you. Jogen, do you want to uh, introduce what the book is all about?
Yeah, well, the book is all about it's more of like a sequel of the e-learning Rudder. So when I first wrote the e-learning Rudder, the purpose really is to help those aspiring e-learning designers, e-learning developer to create their own interactive e-learning. So right now with the recent trend of AI, there has been a lot of questions actually, and throughout my journey interacting with fellow professionals, there were questions that was constantly raised. Is AI gonna replace me? Yada yada yada. And so that's when I've decided to write this book to answer those questions and to guide fellow professionals, fellow learning and organizational development practitioners, as well as those who wants to enter this field so that they can be guided and what should they be expecting once they start the actual role.
Ayan, because this is also one of the topics that we talk about while we were in Frankfurt, in the Frankfurt Book Fair. Kasi the publishing industry is one of the industries that will be affected by AI, right? With the technology that's been happening. In your book, Jogan, human connection versus technology, how do you propose to balance the integration of AI and technology with the essential human connection that are crucial in training design?
Thank you, Cindy. And you know what? This is actually the heart of the book. In chapter 3, I talk about designing for the digital learner. And what I learned is this: AI can speed things up, but it can't replace the way humans make meaning. So I always say, let AI handle the heavy lifting, but let humans handle the heart. And in chapter 8, I share that purpose is our real rudder. Technology can assist, but at the end of the day, learners still need someone who listens, understands the culture, and knows how to guide difficult conversations. So the balance comes naturally when you see AI as a partner, not a replacement.
Yes, and I think that's also something that we've discussed then in the past. Now, AI is a tool, etc. But then let's for those who are first time hearing this, talk a bit more background of AI, because we don't want to just hey you guys, why not use AI, and we cannot just enforce it, right? Speaking, iba siya ganon ka accepted in this world. perhaps you can talk about the impact, like what specific ways do you believe AI can enhance the effectiveness of training programs compared to the traditional e-learning methods discussed in your previous book? Kasi I think the first book was the e-learning rather, diba? So yeah, maybe you can talk about that.
Sure. Well, if you've read my first book, The E-Learning Rudder, you may have noticed that everything was actually linear. Storyboarding, development, learning management system upload, very structured. But in chapter 4 of this new book, I explain how AI basically breaks that mold. AI lets us do three big things. So, personalized learning on the spot, build and iterate content faster, and give instant feedback to learners. So instead of pushing everyone through the same experience, AI tailors the journey. It makes learning feel like it's finally meeting people where they are, not where we hope they are. It's still e learning, but smarter, more responsive, and more human centered.
And of course, hindi naman to basta-basta insights mo lang. These are data-driven information, right? Can you share a particular example or case study from the book where data-driven insights led to a significant improvement in training outcomes?
Yeah, sure. I think somewhere in chapter 2, I told the story about a course that people weren't, finishing. At first, we thought it was about the length. Classic assumption because in the previous book, I've been telling how important microlearning is, the attention span of learners has been decreasing. And so that's what we have assumed. But when we looked at the data, the issue wasn't the full course. It was the first 5 minutes. It's too heavy. It's too much information up front. So what we did, we redesigned the opening, simple visuals, a lighter intro, shorter chunks, and suddenly the completion rates shot up. So that moment proved to me how data, doesn't just tell you what's wrong. It tells you where to fix it. And AI makes those signals even clearer.
Okay, so I think this is a good reminder to our viewers right there. Now, if you're interested, if you're an educator, if you own a library, this book is a definite must-have in your library. And if this is something that you're looking at AI integration with your business and educational training, etc. This is for you. So make sure to get a copy. It's available now on Shopee, Lazada, and also on Amazon. Um, Going back to the questions, what would you say are the most significant challenges trainers faced when incorporating AI and technology into their designs, and how does your book address these hurdles?
Good question. As I was sharing earlier, one of the reasons why I wrote this book was about the struggles of fellow practitioners, fellow professionals, no. And somewhere in chapter 5 of the book, I'm very honest about the struggles. Trainers face a lot of fears. So will AI replace me? I'm not tech savvy enough. How do I know the output is accurate? So those are real, and I've heard them so many times. But the solution isn't forcing technology, it's building confidence. So I share practical ways to introduce AI to teams, like starting with low risk tasks, drafting questions, generating ideas, or editing scripts. Then we set checkpoints so humans still guide quality and ethics. And once people see that AI makes their work easier, not irrelevant, the fear naturally fades.
Okay, once again, I just want to highlight na we're not just discussing the integration of AI into into the publishing industry kasi madalas yan yung pinag-uusapan kasi dito, but the integration rather of AI into the other parts of our lives like operational, sa education, sa training, pagdating sa workplace, ayan. Well, in my workplace, yes, we do use that. We do use AI na. But of course, as you mentioned, the human touch, lagi pa rin nandoon. Siguro, Jogen, how do you see the future of training design? How do you envision, the landscape of training design evolving over the next decade? Ayan, I'm sure mag-a-advance na yung mga sinasabi nating mga tools, and with all the advancement, how do you see this? What are your insights?
Well, in the book, I actually described it this way, that training design will become more intelligent, more adaptive, and more human all at the same time. AI will predict what learners need. Content will adjust in real time, simulations and immersive experiences will become more accessible. But here's the twist: as technology becomes smarter, our role becomes more human focused, as what you also shared earlier, Cindy. No? So we will be the sense makers. It doesn't make sense. Well, let's make it have a sense. The storytellers, the ones who help learners connect the dots. If anything, AI pushes us into deeper, more meaningful leadership roles.
I like that. I like that response na, we are going to think differently. The sense maker. So parang kailangan siguro pag-aralan natin kung paano mas maging matalino pa tayo, compared sa AI, because AI will, of course, will continue to advance in the future, and then at the same time, for sure it will have its own intelligence. But then it doesn't have the soul, it doesn't have the capability to know what's right or wrong. Maybe it will know in the future, but in a deeper sense, I'm sure tayo lang makakapagsabi nun, right? Tayo lang yung makakapag-decide. Tayo lang yung magdadrive ng future. So that's gonna be a very, very interesting future ahead of us. Pinag-usapan natin just sa 8 letters, not just because, you have this book. Although please do get the book. But this is actually an important topic. The publishing industry is is very affected by it, but then at the same time you want to see the future na, where your kids, when they go to school, like things are easier for them, pero they still need to know how to think. So it's actually I would say the policy makers then, we unfortunately have to rely on them to help us in navigating this, and of course trainers like you. Jogan, do you organize talks like this? Do you get invites? Do you, aside from writing the book, ano ba, like,
Yes,
are you
I
open
get
to these
invited.
kind of collaborations?
Yes, indeed. So I get invited into some conferences as well, or even in corporate setup. I do share these knowledge and best practices that I have been picking up through the journey. No, so yes.
Ayan, we're down to our last question. Pero I just want to check from the audience, if you like this kind of setup ng book talk na live. Kasi if you're new, if you have not noticed, this is our first live session for what? For 2 years na. I think the last live book talk was done 1 to 2 years ago. So if you like the setup, let me know, and we can continue doing this. Um, and of course, last question. Okay. Practical application for educators or trainers just starting to implement AI in their programs. what would you say are the first steps na marirecommend mo based again sa book you said in the digital ladder? What would be the first steps?
Sure. As you were sharing as well your insights earlier, now actually I was reminded a few years ago, whenever we apply for a job, it is always written in our resume or in our CV that I am computer savvy. But nowadays, if you write that in your CV, like nobody would even care if you're computer savvy because hey, that's a basic expectation, isn't it? Now what matters is uh are you AI savvy? So what I would suggest, well, not to write it, well, you can write it because again, that's what matters right now. But what I would suggest is to definitely try it. I always say start small, start safe, and start with curiosity. In chapter 7, two chapters before my book ends, I walk through simple entry points. Things like using AI to brainstorm ideas, draft an outline, or create a first version of training materials. Low pressure, low risk. Pick one tool, play with it, and see how it helps, and then measure your wins. Maybe you save time, maybe you improved clarity, maybe the learners responded better. So it's not about becoming an AI expert overnight. It's about getting comfortable enough to let AI support your creativity and not to replace it.
And that's very, very helpful indeed. So, once again, you guys, we're going to post another promotional graphics later. You where you can get a copy of the Digital Rudder. Once again, that will be available on Shopee, Lazada, and Amazon, and also our Eight Letters website. And also watch out, baka magka-bundle price ang e-learning rather and the digital rather. Ayan. So, Jogan, last question. Where can we follow you? Where can we get updates? Where, how can we reach out to you?
I have the e-learning rather Facebook page, but you can always follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So I sometimes share where my knowledge sharing and if I am to facilitate a public training or public seminar. So you can always find it in my social media accounts. So thank you.
Thank you very much for gracing our first live book talk for years. Ayan. And once again, you guys, if you're still tuning in, thank you so much for watching our book talk. So sabihin nyo lang kung gusto nyo na in the future we get to have more live book talks or just let us know in the comments below. And once again, thank you, Jogan, and you guys get a copy of the Digital Rudder. Yeah, and thank you so much, and bye
Thank you,
everyone.
Cindy. Thanks,
Happy weekend.
everyone.
Bye.